Because I'm pretty sure that the GG13 Collective, also known as the People of the Haunted World of CW, are now dead set on going to Loveland to look for the Frogman, I figured if you were going to be heading to Clermont County, now might be a good time for me to tell you my particular ghost story, and that way maybe you might be prepared if the same thing happens to you. So this was about 28 years ago. Long time, I know, but I was only 9 at the time, and it's kind of one of those stories that happens on an October. Maybe it's an overactive imagination, but I seriously doubt it, and I've been living with it ever since, so maybe take this under advisement. Okay, so about 28 years ago, in mid-October, I was living on a place in Clermont County called Neville Penn Schoolhouse Road. It's in between Felicity and a now non-existent town known as Neville. And I was living in a trailer sort of in the middle of nowhere with my mom, my baby brother, and my pops was an over-the-road driver, so he was kind of, out there on the road at the time. Well, later that night, my mom told me to go and feed our dog, Sam, who was a golden retriever. I was actually kind of nervous about that because Sam had lost his sense of smell, and because of that, he was kind of crazy. But I still love that dog very much, and of course I did it like a dutiful son. Of course, Sam going crazy meant that I basically had to feed him by, well, how do I put this? Pulling his dish away from him with a rake and, putting the food into it and then using the rake to push it back to him. We actually had a garbage can on the outside of the trailer that we were living in that had all of the dry dog food in there. It was like 2 giant bags worth, and, there was a scoop, so I was using that. So I had just done that, and I had just put the scoop back, and I thought, well, maybe I better go check the mail while I'm doing that. And I get halfway across and up the hill to where the road was, because our mailbox was across the street, and I get up to the street, and I thought, wait a minute, I've already checked that. So I'm looking down at the hill to make sure I don't trip, and I'm walking up my way back, and I get about halfway there when I happen to look up, and then on the corner of my right eye, I see it. It looked to be a figure. Vaguely man-like, man-shaped, and it was on the hill that was on the backyard. And in our backyard there was a horse ranch that sort of bordered the territory, and there was a barbed wire fence, and on the top of the hill was where I saw the figure. It was glowing bright, vaguely human-shaped, and something looked a little weird about the face, and I couldn't quite make out what that was. All I know is looking at that thing, I got kind of freaked out, but I was thinking, you know what, the moon looks really weird tonight. And that's when I looked up at another point in the sky and I saw that. What was it that I saw? The moon. The actual moon. Up in the sky. In its first phases. I'm not sure if it was a crescent or about a half, but I saw it. It was the actual moon. Then when I looked over, that's when I noticed something different. The figure had moved. It no longer was sitting at the top of the hill. It had actually come down a hill about, I'd say, almost halfway. And that's when I could see it a little better. It definitely was man-shaped, and there were these 2 red dots where the eyes and the head would be. And definitely, with it having moved closer, it wasn't moving while I was looking at it, but when it moved closer, that's when I freaked out even more. So when I looked up at the moon again, just to make sure that it wasn't the moon I was seeing, and yes, definitely the moon was up over here rather than being over here where I was seeing the figure, I looked back. It had shifted position again. This time it was not only down at the base where the fence was, but it was on our side of the fence. And that's when I saw that the eyes were sort of like red electric sparks. Definitely creepy. They seemed to be sort of alive almost, sort of a writhing electricity kind of thing. And they were moving up, like, on those old TVs when you would see the lines coming down while you were trying to watch. It was sort of waves of light lines going upward, which was kind of very, very odd. And it was like, as I was watching this thing, I could feel like it was trying to force me to watch it, and the dread just roared up into me, and I'd had enough at that point. So it's at that point that I had decided that I was going to run back into the trailer, and I did. I ran back into the trailer, ran into my room, threw off my shoes, jumped under the covers and hid. And this is the part where I think everything gets the spookiest for me at that point, because you know that point when you're under the covers and you're like trying to hide, but you got the flashlight so you can read, and your parents catch you, and when you turn the flashlight off, they're like blah blah blah, but you can see the light, so you knew that the door opened. Well, I saw a brilliant white light coming from where my window was, and it was illuminating my room, and that was from underneath my covers. It stayed there for about a minute, and then it decided that at that point it was going to just walk, or just like sink back down, and then I didn't see it again. I never had another encounter after that, but that definitely scared the ever-living daylights out of me, because I had no idea what it was all about. Years later, when I hear the stuff about the Slender Man, it definitely brings that thought back into my head, because of the things that are described there with Slender Man. It kind of seems like that with me, but yeah, knowing that you guys are going to Clermont County, this happened to me. Something similar could happen to you. I hope it doesn't, but you guys definitely need to be watching out, because I have no idea what that was all about, and I have never been able to find a reference to anything like that since. I know I've been doing review videos for you guys for quite some time. I know that I've actually done a lot of opinions and things like that, but this is one that actually happened to me early on and sort of formed the paladin that you know today. So I definitely want you guys to be safe while you're chasing after Frogman in the Loveland area. I want you to be knowledgeable of the area. It's a lot of wide open spaces around Loveland, a lot of country. It's very rural, kind of like Worcester, as a matter of fact, now once I've been looking at that. But yeah, definitely is something that you want to watch out for. So I just thought I'd make this video to let you guys know exactly what's happening. Anyway, guys, like I said, I've basically just started working with you guys over the last year or so, and I definitely wanted to keep that streak going. So if you guys could take care and be safe, please do. And just like always, stay righteous, okay? And now, above all, stay alive.